Ever looked at a blueprint and thought, this is just the beginning of something incredible? Welcome to the Inner Blueprint Podcast, where we believe the most extraordinary builds start with you.
I'm Sean Foyer,
the Universal Mindset Disruptor.
For over 2 decades, I've turned simple plans into remarkable realities in the home improvement world. Now, I'm here to help you do the same for your life and for your business. Make sure to take some notes, and most importantly, enjoy the ride. Hello and welcome to another episode of Inner Blueprint, the podcast designed specifically for the home improvement industry. And as you know, we bring on guests specific to home improvement, sales leaders, successful business owners, anybody and anything to do with mindset, because that's such a key to everything that we do, not only in business, but in life. And along those lines, I am so excited to welcome today's guests to the call. We met, I think it's been about 5 years ago. This gentleman is a decorated sales and leadership trainer in the home improvement industry. He began his career in 2010 as an outside salesperson for Mad City Windows and quickly became their first $1 million producer following the Rick Grosso sales methods. He thrived as a salesperson. However, his true passion was in training and leadership. And after winning Salesman of the Year 3 consecutive years, he made up his mind that he didn't just want to master the sales process. He wanted to take over the legendary legacy of Rick Grosso. And everybody knows I'm a mindset guru, right? I love this stuff. He had an idea. He held this in his mind. And it is interesting, you know, the passing. Anybody who's been in the industry knows of Rick Grosso. He affected so many people in the industry in a positive way. And his passing earlier this year did sadden us. But we've got one of his best, I would say his number one student, who's taken his legacy and is now building a world-class sales training organization designed specifically for the home improvement industry. So without further ado, I'm just going to get him on here. Let's welcome Dominic Caminata, the best sales trainer I've ever had the privilege of working with. Welcome to Inner Blueprint, my friend.
You better be careful, Sean. I'm not going to be able to walk out of my room here. That was an amazing introduction. Thank you so much. And I just want to congratulate you on the new podcast. Obviously, as you mentioned, we've been talking together for several years. I was grateful that we had a mutual client that had been using your mindset coaching and absolutely swore by it, said it changed his life personally and professionally. So I had to meet you and talk to you. And as you know, mindset is a huge part of my training, but I also know like my lane, my skill set, my superpower is the sales process itself. And then your mindset training bolted onto that obviously allows for a high level implementation performance. You really optimize the whole thing. So again, thank you for the friendship. It's been an honor knowing you for the last 5 years. And again, thanks for having me on your new Inner Blueprint. So I'm really excited to kind of sink my teeth into the, how we can help home improvement companies be more profitable, sell better, and ultimately live better lives. So,
and that's what it's all about. And that's one of my favorite things about you, Dominic, is from the day we met, and I've dealt with this with other sales trainers, other people in the industry, where their ego gets in the way and they're not open to the possibility of working together. And, I was a sales trainer. I was a pretty decent sales trainer, and it's not my cup of tea. It's not where I excel. And where I found that I excel is in mindset. And where you excel. You've got a proven track record. And I love the openness. I mean, you talk about your head's going to get big. The first time you introduced me, I literally looked around and was like, who's Dominic introducing?
Talking about me?
You talking about me? Is that me? Oh my God, he is talking about me. And, I loved your belief in me just from what you heard and the mutual friendship and relationship we had. And yeah, I mean, to this day, anytime anyone talks about sales training, you're definitely the name that comes to mind. So I
appreciate that very much.
But
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely living proof that you become what you think about. And I know you're I'll try to give a really short and sweet, vignette as to how I got here. But I just want to say, now more than ever before, it obviously has a newfound meaning to carry on the Grosso legacy.
Yes.
With his passing this year. And, it's really my mission here to leave an impact and legacy on the industry just like he did. But I'm grateful to the gift that he gave me because, as you mentioned, I first entered the industry in 2010 with zero sales experience. As some would say, I didn't know how to close the door with the wind behind me. I didn't know the first thing about sales. And I'm grateful to this day that Mad City, the company I first started selling for, had this amazing step selling sales program written by Rick Grosso, his world famous 10-step paint by numbers system, as he described it. And full transparency, when I first got in the industry, I was timid. I wasn't a natural born salesperson in any form of the fashion. So for me to be good at sales, I leaned heavily on whatever system was presented to me because I didn't know at all what I was doing. And as you know, Sean, selling home improvements in this industry, especially one call close, in my opinion, that's really salesmanship at the highest level. It's a lot of pressure to perform. You got to have thick skin, like Zig Ziglar always said, skinny or timid salespeople should have skinny children, right? And I was timid in the beginning. But I was immediately bought into the system because without knowing anything about sales, following the Rick Grosso step-by-step system, I was able to close my first 7 sales in a row, not having a clue even what I was doing. And it was so ridiculous. I was so scripted. It was like I was telegraphing every step of the sale. I was like, John and Mary, that was step 1, the intro. Let me go on to step 2 now, the needs assessment and or survey. And it was insane, but it still worked. Even if they knew the strategies, I saw right away that it was highly effective. And then after closing 7 sales in a row, it was simple math for me. I'm like, wow, what if I could recreate that every week? What if I could keep up that level of performance all month long? What if my entire year looked like this? What would that look like financially? And what type of lifestyle of freedom and abundance and fun and love, as you like to explain? I love that. What would that look like for me? I started thinking about this new vision for my future, this new American dream, right? I instantly became almost obsessed and addicted to wanting to learn more, right? And my journey wasn't certainly like a straight line, all sunshine and rainbows, but literally within my first 6 months of doing this, again, never having done sales before in my life, I sold just shy of $1 million my first 6 months and started shattering every record the company had at the time. But as I like to explain here, this is where the mindset and the thinking into results comes into play. And again, at the time, I didn't know your training. I didn't know this is what was happening. It was just the way my life took me. It was an emotional event, of course. But when I first got recognized as Salesman of the Year, again, Rick Grosso is the guy I've been studying. I've been relentlessly reading through his training books. I've been listening to his Yes, I Am a Closer on, I think it was A-Track player or something. Yes, I Am a Closer CDs, his Ready, Aim, Goal, a lot of mindset. And even Rick had a lot of mindset and motivational stuff. He was good at getting people pumped up.
Yeah.
But when I first got recognized as Salesman of the Year, it was at a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which for me at that point in my career was still like an amazing crowning achievement, amazing moment. It was a really fancy restaurant. But I didn't know this. We had a surprise guest in attendance for this award ceremony, and it was Rick Grosso himself. And for me, I was just in awe over the whole thing. Here, Rick Grosso comes in with his Robert Graham t-shirt or dress shirts, sleeves rolled up, his solid gold Rolex watch, walking in like a celebrity. And it's like, think of any monumental, inspirational figure that changed your life you always wanted to meet, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was that moment for me. And then Rick's, of course, ordering $300 bottles of wine like they're nothing. He always joked about it. The difference between an alcoholic and a wine connoisseur is $100 a bottle, right? And he's talking about his life. He's just sharing stories, right? And I don't think he realized how big of an impact it had on me, but I'm sitting there like listening to every word he's saying very intently. And he's talking about all the companies and thousands of people he's influenced in his career and the traveling and this amazing dream life he's built for himself simply by sharing his wisdom with the world, right? Sharing this gift, the sales methodology. And because that was such a profound moment, an emotional moment for me in my life, I made that the determining factor, that moment. I made up my mind, and we talk about this a lot, the power of the made up mind.
Yeah.
That I didn't just want to master his training. I wanted to be him. I wanted that to be my life's journey. My life's mission was to be Rick Grosso. I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to take over his legacy. So that was really that turning point in my life after being recognized Salesman of the Year, when I made up my mind at that moment that I wanted to take over this guy's legacy. And obviously, you can speak better to how that happened or why that happened, but it just imprinted on my mind. It was, you talk about fueling with a burning desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I loved what I was doing. I was realizing success. My belief in the system was a 20 out of 10. And then after spending this time this evening with Rick, I'm like, this is my future. This is who I want to be.
Well, yeah, to speak on the mindset side of it, and Dominic, we've talked about this in the past. You're what they call an unconscious competent. Like when we take you and we plug you into a good system, the system works because you have a lot of belief in yourself. Even when you were timid, you still had a lot of belief in yourself. And as soon as you take your belief for yourself and you combine it with this new belief for the system, you're on fire. And one of the reasons I do what I do is, and as you know, you have a lot of reps you train, your system, the Grosso system works. When it doesn't, it's the sales rep that we're plugging into. But for you, you go into this with just a can-do, made-up mind attitude, and you had that aha moment, that emotional event where you saw your future. You're like, this is what I want to do. And again, so many people have that moment and then they get in their head about why they can't do it or how they're going to do it. And I actually teach people how to get out of that, but you're not somebody that needed that teaching. You're somebody that, yeah, and you've talked a lot. In fact, if you want to share a couple of quotes of your mom's, I love how she impressed upon you belief in yourself. What was her thing about?
It really helped me get through my sales career because I don't care who you are. I mean, this is a very tough job, high levels of stress, a lot of pressure to perform. We have our good days, we have our bad days, we have our good months, we have our bad months. And it's very much a roller coaster ride. But I had my mom's voice in my head literally every day. And she told me two things that I always carried with me. She's like, Dominic, you have to remember, no matter how bad you think it is, worse things are happening to better people every day. And I was reminding myself, like, what am I complaining about? I mean, I woke up in a nice, cozy bed, roof over my head. I have food, water. I have a vehicle that can take me from A to B and sometimes C if need be. Think about the actual, real traumatic things people are having to go through each and every day. So she was really good at reminding me of that. Not that, I wanted to feel bad about, feeling bad, because it's okay every now and then to feel bad about your current situation or to have these things creep in, but yeah, don't feel sorry for yourself. Count your blessings.
Yeah.
Right? And this is something that obviously you speak to amazingly is think of the hundreds of positive things we have happen to us every day. And what are we going to do? We're going to allow that one negative thing that happened. Someone cuts you off in traffic or you stub your pinky toe on the side of your bed. Now my day's ruined, So I think of that because I sincerely have had moments in my sales career when I wasn't financially well off. I was trying to figure out how I was going to make ends meet. And I literally had moments where I had to pull over to the side of the road and shed some tears. I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I've had these thoughts creep through my mind. I don't know if I can do this. But then just keeping focus, right? And I have this horrible habit of never giving up, which is a great habit as it turns out.
Yes, keep that one. Keep that paradigm.
Yeah. But I don't give up. And, I've been able to fail forward through life like a heat-seeking missile. And of course, failures are the best lessons learned. And I haven't always excelled. It's very much learn as you go and try to course correct along the way, just like that heat-seeking missile. But the second thing she always said is no matter how good you think you are, just remember there's always somebody better. Now, of course, I introduce myself in every video I do, Sean, as industry-leading sales trainer, because that's my affirmation, right? I am the industry-leading sales trainer. And I'm just throwing it out into the universe every video I do. I'm the CEO of Grosso University, industry-leading sales trainer. Whether anyone believes that or not, doesn't matter. I believe it, and I'm going to keep saying it.
Yes, and that's all that matters was what you believe, because your world wraps around that belief as it has.
But what motivates me is the fact that I know that there is always somebody better. And it's like the quote, when you're green, you're growing, when you're ripe, you rot. Never get comfortable when it comes to your level of income, your level of skill, your level of knowledge. Never get complacent. The moment you start getting too comfortable, you think you have all the answers or you think you're the best you can possibly be, you go backwards. And this is what I see, and I'm sure you see it all the time. In sales, you get these guys that sell 2 million or 3 million or whatever. It doesn't even matter, fill in the blank number. And they think they know it all. They think they've made it to the apex of their entire sales career. They can't possibly learn anything more, right? And this is where a lot of people say you can't teach old dog new tricks. Well, as a matter of fact, an old dog can learn just as much as a young pup. It's just how you train it and how you instill that belief into that person that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
But every day, the way I like to explain it, and I talk about this to salespeople all the time, I want to pin my back against the wall every day. So there's only one way I can go, and that's forward. And what I mean by that, I'm always trying to learn new things every single day. I'm fully comfortable saying I'm not the best salesperson in the history of humanity, and I don't have all the answers, and I probably never will. But guess what? I'm going to try to get a little bit closer to learning all those answers each and every day. That's all we can do.
Yeah. No, and I think that's huge. They always say when you think you're the guru, you're starting over as a student again, right? And I facilitate trainings, I teach trainings, and I always start them off with, just so you guys know, I'm as much a student of this material as I am a teacher of this material, because the day I think I know it all, like you said, there's and the world we live in, maybe we'll talk a little bit about like AI and technology and stuff. I mean, what you thought you knew yesterday, is out of date tomorrow. Like, you have to stay up to speed. And if you're going to be the best at anything, especially sales in the competitive environment that we live in today, you got to be a constant lifelong learner. And just to point out for listeners, we're talking mindset. As always, Dominic was blessed with his mom teaching him gratitude and humility. And then topped on top of that is a can-do attitude. Like, he's never going to stop. And he told me he's not always the best. In my experience, everything I've ever heard, from playing sports to selling to starting a business to playing the piano, you're pretty damn good at whatever you decide to be good at, man.
Yeah. And I think that's how you continue to be the best, or continue to strive to be the best, is by knowing that you can always grow, you can always get better, and you just can't be comfortable. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to intentionally do things to make myself uncomfortable all the time. I don't know if you know this, but like this year, for example, I'm doing a bodybuilding competition. I'm October 19th, 2024. Wow. I'll be on stage in a banana hammock in front of 300 strangers. I have no idea who these people are, but I'll be in front of them flexing. And the reason why I did that is because I realized I was getting comfortable physically, and things were jiggling that didn't used to jiggle. Things were hurting that didn't used to hurt. I started to weaken. I started to feel weak. I'm like, what is going on here, Dominic, right? So, and I'm a firm believer, you're successful, you have a definite, worthwhile written goal, a precise date to achieve it. You're presently moving towards it. And I'm very much a goal-oriented mechanism, as most people are.
Yes.
But I need that goal in writing, that deadline, that commitment, right? Otherwise, I can always put it off. The diet starts Monday, right? I'm like, enough talk. Let's take action. So yeah, that's just an example of trying to continually grow and develop. Because one thing I've learned is it's really in the discomfort, the uncomfortable situations when I experience the most growth. And I'm sure most people feel the same way when they experience a lot of growth as a man or as a human being. So,
there is no growth in your comfort zone. That's why it's called a comfort zone. It's comfortable because you're not growing. And for me, I always draw a box. This is your subconscious program, and you're comfortable inside of it. All your self-limiting beliefs. And you are, like I said, an unconscious competent at getting really good at getting outside of your program paradigms and what's new, what's available. One thing I want to go back to a little bit about the Rick Grosso part of the story. From the day you met him and made that decision, how long did it take you to start Grosso University?
So that award ceremony was in 2011. And that's a really good point. Is I knew that if I was realistic going to take over this guy's legendary legacy, like, who the hell is Dominic Caminata and why does anybody care? Like, I knew that I would have to have some sort of case study to point to, so people knew that I could take this training and use it to grow and command a sales powerhouse, right? And that's what Rick always had, is really phenomenal case studies, growing RJW Enterprises, one of the top window companies in the country at the time. He had proven the results. He had the case studies. So a lot of people subscribed to his training and his ownership level training because he's done it. He's been there, right? So that was really my burning desire, my fuel to take what I knew about Grosso to the next level. And I'm going to butcher this quote, but there's times in life where we have to do more than what's required of us. And then eventually we're going to get more than what we're working for, something like that. So essentially, I was the sales leader before I was the sales leader. So early on in my career, I started taking reps into the home with me to observe me in the house, because certainly after I started having high levels of success, shattering records, everyone's like, Dominic, what are you doing? I'm like, did you read the training book? It's right here. Like, this is what I'm doing.
I'm doing the system, man. I'm doing the system.
I'm like, I didn't write this stuff. I'm just following the process, man. And obviously you make it an authentic way of delivering message over time that works for you, but I'm just following the system. So I'm taking reps under my wing, role playing with them one-on-one, just to try to share with them everything that I'm doing so they can see the same success that I did. And even before I was officially on an org chart as sales leader, I realized I had great fulfillment and passion for coaching, training, and teaching. And it's actually interesting because I remember when I was in high school, and I thought they were insane at the time, I had a couple of my teachers that said, Dominic, you'd make a good teacher. I'm like, no, I'm just going to do physical labor the rest of my life. That's what I was destined to do. But it turns out, fast forward, I did have a passion and in a lot of cases, a gift for training and coaching and mentoring salespeople. I got a ton of fulfillment out of it. And because I was already the leader of the company by numbers and also just by helping coaching, training, and mentoring without being required to, in 2012, I finally got officially promoted to the sales leader and trainer at Mad City. And at that time, Mad City was about an $8 million company. We were growing, but still wasn't, shattering records, wasn't on the map, of course, the way they are today. And once I got my hands on the steering wheel, now I'm like, this is my chance, this is my opportunity. I'm never looking back. So it was like that relentless pursuit of providing all my salespeople with all the training, all the tools, all the support, all the resources, so they could absolutely thrive and dominate the competition. And I wanted to make my sales foundation so strong that my salespeople had to be creative to screw it up. They had to intentionally go out of their way and make mistakes, right? Because of all the support and training they had. So with that in mind, that burning desire, and of course the end goal in mind, begin with the end in mind of taking over Rick's legacy, we were able to grow that team from 8 million to 100 million in 7 years. And at the tail end of my career, I was managing Wisconsin's largest adult daycare center. We had 55 adult lead babies. Sales professionals. But the thing that I preach that I'm super proud of to this day is they had a cumulative closing percentage of over 50%. 55 salespeople closing over 50%. And I'm not kidding when I say if you were a $2 million producer on the sales team at the time, you were at the bottom of the totem pole. You're close to the shark at the bottom of the leaderboard, right? That gobbles people up, that underperform.
Yeah.
2 million was like you're barely keeping your job. Most of the people were 2.5, 3 million. I had $4 or $5 million producers. It was just crazy how the culture changed year after year. The standards, the performance raised. But it's because that stuff that my mom taught me, I instilled into my team. No matter how good you think you are, there's always somebody better, right? Don't feel sorry for yourself. Always stay hungry, always raise the bar, continue to grow. And if better's possible, is good enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the journey from 2011 to 2019. And then seemingly by fate, I get an email. I think it was a fax. No, it was an email from Rick Grosso. He was announcing that he had his last ever closers camp in 2019 in Washington, D.C. And I go to Nathan. I'm like, please, for the love of God, can I go to this? I knew this is my chance, right? This is the opportunity to go and take over this guy's legacy. I knew I needed to attend this camp, and I knew I needed to be one of the last ever closers camp champions. Just to put my name in history, of course, is really important to me. But my goal was really to get Rick Grosso alone somehow, so I could tell him that I'm taking over his legacy, right? And believe me, there's a lot of people in line that wanted to do it at the time. So I got the announcement. Thankfully, Nathan allowed me to go to Washington, D.C. to compete in the last ever closers camp. And I was competing against some heavy hitters. The guy had such a profound impact on some of the biggest titans in the industry, guys running $150, $200 million companies. And I was competing, going toe to toe, returning closers camp champion, right? So I was able to win that. If you don't know what closers camps are, it's a sales competition that Rick Grosso threw every year, and usually competing against 150 sales warriors to try to see who knows the system better than anybody. I don't need to go too much in depth, but after winning closers camp, I was able to convince Rick Grosso to celebrate, to go out to dinner. We went to this really nice French style bistro downtown Washington, D.C. Of course, got some wine. Got him feeling good, got him relaxed. And, we always train at Grosso University, and I learned this from Rick, that we never ask for the order, we assume the business. So I figured it's only fitting to use this sales strategy on Rick himself, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, Rick, I just want to say it was an honor to be the last ever closers camp champion. I want to let you know the real reason I'm here is I just want to tell you in person that I'm taking over your legacy. And thankfully, his response was, I couldn't think of anybody better. Now, I can't get into the weeds on like every moment that I told Rick I'm taking over his legacy, because literally, I mean, I was planting the seed year after year after year. Hey, when you're ready to retire, I'm first in line. I would love the opportunity. That would be an honor. So I was constantly like giving him those nudges every year. So it wasn't a surprise to him that I did that. But thankfully, he gave me a resounding yes. And now here we are. I founded Grosso University in 2019. And my mission is simple, to leave a legacy in the industry just like he did, and to build the #1 sales training and business development consulting business in history. So that's it.
I love that. And especially any of you younger listeners to this podcast, because and Dom's seen this too. I work with so many people that are young in their career, and I love ambition and I love people to get excited. But the impatience that it creates, right? Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. And you held this in your mind for damn near a decade, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And,
exactly.
And there were moments, like you said, when you first started, where you were crying in your car, where you're like, how am I going to do this? But the thing that never went away was holding that in your mind and the burning desire. And that's what mindset is all about. That's
what's crazy. What's crazy about it, and don't ask me how or why it was so strong, but my mind was made up about this. Like, no one was going to stop me from taking over this guy's legacy. It was undeniable. Like, I knew it was going to happen. The clock just had to catch up eventually, right?
Yeah.
I think that, and I don't know why, because there's a couple things in my life that I've been that laser focused on, but this was by far above anything else I've ever done. My mind was completely made up that this was going to happen. I just, like you said, had to wait for the clock to catch up. I had to be patient, because I mean, almost 10 years in the making to make that dream come true. Yeah, you do have to be patient sometimes, but keep moving forward every day.
Let's celebrate this for a second though, because congratulations, man. I mean, every time I've heard you tell this story before, it feels like I'm listening to it for the first time, because I just get into the energy of how cool it is that you literally set the intention, held it in your mind. And then you did what some people aren't willing to do. You went to work. you did the grind, and you have the results to prove it. And
what's interesting is I actually read the book Think and Grow Rich after this had already happened. So then it really helped me understand like how that happens. Because I didn't when I was in sales, I read a lot of sales books, and Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and all this stuff. And I didn't do a lot of the mindset stuff as much as I should have. But it was like after I had already gone through this journey of turning my thoughts into my reality, then I'm like, oh yeah, I see like how it happened now. Especially after getting to know you better, it helps me better understand how this happens in our lives. And so I like the bodybuilding stuff though, and I talk about this in my sales training, is just this competition alone, I'm going to cut about 60 pounds from where I started. And I'm going to completely transform myself physically. And my mind's made up. It's going to happen. Like when I get on that stage, I'm going to look good. So in a similar fashion. But with that type of mindset, that type of attitude, that type of burning desire, if I can transform myself physically, what else can you transform in your life with that type of mindset? Anything you want.
Anything and everything you want. Yes. Anything and everything. Yes.
So these are just specific examples, but it literally applies to everything. But you got to make up your mind, and you got to keep your eye on the prize, right? You got to be patient sometimes, because good things do come to those who are patient and can continue to move forward. It'll all fall into place for you eventually.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Let's shift speeds here a little bit. Let's just talk about sales for a minute. How things are going. What maybe some things you're seeing in the industry as far as sales, and any exciting things you have in the works for Grosso that we can share with people. I'd love to hear about it and share it.
Yeah. So our big thing at Grosso University, we talk about legendary training for the modern world. And as you pointed out, we got to be really at the forefront of this rapidly changing and dynamic industry with how disruptive technology is becoming. Because historically, the home improvement industry was always decades behind the rest of the world in terms of implementing technology. But what's interesting with AI now, it's actually the opposite, where AI is actually disrupting the home improvement industry faster and in a more comprehensive way than almost any other industry in the world right now. It's really insane. And for me, this is in some cases scary. In some cases, one of the biggest blessings of my entire career that I could ever ask for. The reason why it's scary is, truthfully, if someone wants to, they can go on ChatGPT right now and say, write me a sales training book teaching me how to one-call close, replacing windows in the home. Can you write it in Spanish and in English, please? And then boom, what happens? Types you up a sales training book, right? So that's a threat to what we do, right? Because part of the things that people hire us for is creating the training manuals, creating the processes, the systems, so they can make success predictable, replicatable, duplicatable, right? That's what we specialize in. The blessing part is through the power of AI now, we have access to literally hundreds of years worth of data, and we can train precisely now exactly what the top 1% of salespeople are doing in the country to have replicatable, duplicatable results every single year. The $5, $6, $7 million producers. We actually can see now exactly what they're doing that average salespeople are not doing. And what I found as a trainer, going into any sales training boot camp, closers camp, one-on-one session with the company, when I come to these training sessions armed with hundreds of years worth of data, millions of sales encounters documented, right? Or millions of hours of sales encounters documented, it makes the content undisputable, undebatable. Like, it makes their mind, in terms of how open-minded they are and receptive to the information, it makes it so much more impactful. And the gratitude these teams have when we're presenting this information seems to be increasing. But the thing for me is, and the thing for any training group now, is you have to leverage this stuff to its fullest extent and be at the forefront of sales more than ever being turned into a data-driven sport.
Yes.
Thankfully, though, a lot of the data is reinforcing all the stuff that Rick Grosso is preaching literally for decades, and what I've been preaching for 14 years now. It's reinforcing a lot of those things. It's just for us now, we can say with certainty, this is not just based on my experience. This is not just based on the experience of my team. This is holistically, worldwide, what the top 1% of closers are doing to have consistent results. And we know what that stuff is now. And it talks about things like asking questions, the level of patience a salesperson has, their talk speed. It talks about their ability to listen. The selling is not telling. So the best way to earn someone's trust and earn someone's business, not by talking. The person who's talking is not controlling the conversation. The one's asking questions and listening, right? So these are common sense sales strategies that people have known forever. But now we can say precisely how much more they're listening and how much more questions they're asking based on the information. So that's been a huge development for us. And we're thankful for some of our partnerships. We got partnerships, of course, with Real Voice, the leading AI voice analytics, voice transcription technology in the home improvement industry. But yeah, that's been a game changer for us. And we actually use this technology to train and coach salespeople all over the United States.
That's
so we actually have a program called the Sales Academy Masterclass. And essentially what it is, the second Monday of every month, we start a new 2-week cycle of sales training where companies can throw as many salespeople at us as they want. We train them, we test them, we certify them. We place them back into the organization where we work alongside their leadership team to do product-specific training. And then for us, if we're training all these people all over the country, how the hell are we going to know what they're doing? So now with AI, we know what they're doing. It's basically like having a virtual ride-along assistant with every salesperson you've ever trained and influenced in your career, and you're able to pinpoint precisely what they're doing. Now, I used to be fanatical about riding along in the house, and I still am a believer. Ride-alongs are never going to be obsolete, by the way. The need to be there physically in the home is always going to be there. But I was constantly having to do these onesie-twosie ride-alongs in order to craft powerful sales trainings and sales meeting agendas for my team. Because I think it's important when I have sales meetings that these are really well-crafted, precisely to what your team needs to continue to grow and develop. Imagine now, though, you have literally holistically, you can see your entire sales team at a snapshot, exactly what they're doing. And when you're crafting mandatory trainings or sales meeting agendas, you can make sure you're spending your time training precisely to what that company needs. And that's what we're able to do at our Sales Academy Masterclass. Even though we're training people all over the United States, we still have the visibility we need to be effective coaches.
Yeah, I love that. Well, no matter how good AI gets, there's still the human element, right? Like you
100%.
as the coach and the trainer, sales manager listening to the reels, but then actually doing some ride-alongs, getting face to face with the customer. Yeah, I'm a big believer in the human touch, right? And AI,
Yes.
and unless there's something that's happened I'm unaware of, subconscious mind is our emotional mind, and you're never going to replace that part of us, right? AI can't replace
Well,
it.
we know, just look at communication, right? How much of communication is nonverbal?
Mm-hmm.
It's common sense, right? Well, AI can't see their facial expressions, their body language. It does a really poor job right now at measuring emotion and tonality and voice inflection and laughter. A lot of the things that can make or break a sale. So what I say is AI can never replace the need to ride along. In my opinion, I don't think that can ever happen. But what it can do is it can provide field management with more data and more information to make those ride-alongs more productive.
Mm.
So now when I go into that car with that salesperson, I already have a really good strategy as to how I'm going to turn this person around. And then, of course, I'm going to fill in the blind spots and the missing gaps by doing that visual observation.
Yeah.
So,
What?
yeah, very important. And let's not forget, though, one of the most important types of ride-alongs, in my opinion, is not just an observational ride-along where I'm observing the rep. To me, it's doing a demonstrational ride-along where I'm demonstrating to them how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I get salespeople bought in, and that's really tough to do with AI. Of course, there's ways that sales reps can listen to other salespeople, but if I want to get this salesperson fully bought into the system, I want to get rid of any skepticism and get them to truly believe what it is that I'm trying to train. Best way to lead is by example.
Yes.
So those demonstrational ride-alongs are also never going to be obsolete, in my opinion, no matter how good technology gets.
Yeah. We've never talked about my original sales trainer was my dad, and he was one of the best salespeople. Wasn't always the best trainer, but he was one of the best salespeople I ever rode with, and I loved watching him demo. I mean, that's how I learned watching. I mean, I'd literally, you talk about the energy. I'd watch him when he'd get to his close, and the people are like literally having an emotional reaction as they're like feeling the pressure. And he wasn't a high pressure salesperson. He just was so effective, and that's the part that can't be replaced. So,
Yeah.
For listeners, I want to give them a few takeaways just from your expertise. What's the number one mistake you see most salespeople when they're new to the industry make? And for listeners that are bringing on new salespeople, what should they be looking for? What are the mistakes that new reps make that you see?
Well, I want to focus on leadership with this answer because, in my opinion, the problem is not, it's partially with the salespeople. They got to take responsibility, but a lot of it's leadership. Because one thing I'm seeing in the industry is there's companies that do a pretty good job with the initial onboarding and training experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's almost no post-training molding and support for these sales reps. And how long does it take, Sean, for bad habits to form in the field?
30 days.
Yeah. So a sales rep goes into a house, they show a slide on their iPad or laptop, and the homeowner gives them a negative reaction. I don't need to see this crap. Can we just get to the chase? So that gets in the sales rep's head. So the next home they go into, they kind of skip over that or skim through it a little faster, or they deliver a close or a certain one-liner in the house, and it gives them a negative response or a negative reaction. So the next time they're like, well, that didn't work. I'm not going to do that anymore. So then they skip over it. They don't do it because they don't believe that it can work because it didn't work for this person.
One time.
Yeah. And exactly. That's all it takes a lot of times, especially if
Right.
it was a really negative reaction, right? Like, this is stupid. You're
Well,
a sleazeball scumbag salesperson. Get out of my house,
That's how our minds get programmed, is by emotional events. And the worst thing that can happen to a
100%.
new rep is getting thrown out of the home, right? You've seen it blow up guys from the beginning of their career. Well, and you're getting to this, but I'll say, because my second question was going to be, what's the number one mistake sales leaders are making? So it sounds like, let's start.
It's kind of both, right? They're kind of both mixed into my answer here, but essentially bad habits form quickly in sales. And the worst thing a salesperson can do is, when you're fresh out of training, you take the training book and throw it in the garbage, right? A lot of salespeople, they come out of training, they're sharp, they're dialed into the system, they get their first sale, and what do they think? Oh, I know what I'm doing now. Now I'm going to stop reading. I'm going to stop studying. I can't tell you how many sales teams where I'm talking to 20, 30 salespeople, Sean, and I say, show of hands, how many of you have read a book in the last year? And maybe 1 or 2 people out of 30 will raise their hand. No education. No, they're not doing anything to invest in themselves, right?
Right.
If you just spend 10, 15 minutes a day reading, learning, you're going to hammer through about 20, 30 books a year. What's the probability you might get exposed to some valuable information that could change your life? It's pretty damn certain, right? Or like we like saying, read the right book 10 times, right? Really experience it, internalize it. But almost nobody educates themselves. I think it was actually Rick that was the first person to tell me this. He said, you want to hide the secret to the world, just put it in a book. No one will find it there. Yeah. So never stop improving. This is a Home Depot quote, right? Never stop improving, never stop learning. You don't have all the answers. And I love when Brian Tracy described that the brain is like a bucket with a hole in the bottom, right? So you fill up your mind with information, your brain, but if you don't continue filling it up, what happens? You lose it. Bad habits form quickly. So now as a salesperson, that's what they need to be doing, is continuing the education, make sure their sales foundation is rock solid. They can go into the house at an unconscious competent level. They hit the cruise control and right into a sale. Now, sales leaders also need to cultivate an atmosphere where the school is never out for the closer. Because even if you're the best sales trainer in the history of humanity, those salespeople maybe retain 5 to 10% of what they learned in the initial onboarding and training experience. Do I want to spend all this money on leads if my salespeople are only 5 to 10% proficient at handling those leads properly? And you're constantly working on this, but make sure your post-training lane assist, and that's the way I describe it, is lane assist for your sales team. So when they start drifting off course, I'm keeping them back on track and constantly exposing them to, of course, the stuff we learned in the training, but taking their sales skills to the next level. Prepare for your damn sales meetings. How many sales leaders show up to a sales meeting just wild, wild west, shooting from the hip? Hey, what do you guys want to talk about?
Oh, you want to complain about the leads? Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So show up with an agenda, have a specific topic, stuff that you know your team needs, right? Because you're going to see patterns, you're going to see trends, especially if you're not a manager twiddling your thumbs behind a desk. If you're actually out in the field, observing your reps, observing your guys, if you have AI data you can leverage, spend some time putting together a really rock solid sales meeting agenda or a training session for your team that speaks to what they need, and take that seriously. Role play, drills for skills. One thing that drives me nuts, I just want to say, full transparency here, is companies that do all their sales meetings virtually. Drives me crazy because you watch these salespeople, they're at the gym working out, their cameras are off, no one's engaged, no one's paying attention. You maybe get 1 or 2 people that chime in, but the rest of them don't care.
Yeah, 100%.
Get your salespeople together. Get them role playing in person, physically. You said it yourself. You can't beat that human interaction.
No.
And I want this to not only be an educational experience, but this may be the one chance for that week or that month where they can come in and get a boost of energy, get reinvigorated, re-inspired, remotivated. Which, look at all the crazy stuff going on in the world. It's more important now than ever before that I'm keeping my team inspired, keeping them motivated.
Do you have a recommended agenda for a sales meeting just for listeners? I mean, if you're doing a weekly sales meeting, what should you include in that?
So the first thing I do is a recognition segment where I recognize month-to-date and year-to-date performance numbers. We always have different competitions going on, so I'm always tracking and, of course, recognizing who's pacing what, like who's in line to get whether it's Packer tickets or the bonus or whatever. But I try to recognize people for different things. Recognize people, of course, for closing. Maybe they have the highest month-to-date volume. Maybe they have the lowest cancellation rate. Maybe they have the highest average sale. And sometimes if I know that someone needs a confidence boost, I'll think of a sale that they made a week ago, and I'll have them share the story and how they overcame that. Or if I know one of my reps had a really terrible situation, like in terms of difficulty on leads, it was like a 10 out of 10, but they closed it. And I want them to share that story, share that experience, because it's a friendly reminder that you can make an excuse on every lead as to why you didn't do your job. And you can either make excuses or you can make money, but you can't make both. So that salesperson could have made probably 5 or 6 excuses why they didn't sell that lead. But guess what happened?
They sold the damn lead.
Instead of making excuses, they found creative solutions, were able to think outside the box and get the successful outcome. So recognition is huge. Make sure you're recognizing, because again, we want this place buzzing. We want people cheering, laughter. I was actually just talking with Sheila Hibble from Exterior Pros. I know she was on your podcast. And I love what she does. She does a little punching box where they got cash grabs and stuff like that. And that's a fun way you can add some energy and some friendly competition into your sales meetings, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, I want to make sure that whatever topic I have a clear outlined agenda. Here's the topic we're going to discuss in this meeting. So I initially start things off by explaining at a higher level what we're going to talk about and why I feel this training is absolutely important and mandatory for everyone to work on together. And like you have explained before, humility. I always explain that the magic of these meetings, guys, is not just me up here preaching what to do. The magic of these meetings is the fact that we have a priceless mastermind group of people that are in the trenches, making the magic happen every day. And we want to utilize this time together to really take our skills to the next level. So I always like preaching this in sales meetings. I know some things you don't know. You know some things I don't know. Together we can do great things.
Yes.
So that's where you really want to cultivate in your sales meetings, is this open book culture of sales leaders where nobody is afraid to share their secrets, their secret sauce, their golden nuggets, what's working for them, what's not working for them. Make people feel comfortable getting vulnerable in meetings. Just like with your mastermind groups, right?
Yeah, we create vulnerability, which creates connection, right? That creates connection.
Yeah. And then, I used to prepare sometimes for a whole week and a half just for the motivational segment. And sometimes for me, it was weaving in a chapter of an audiobook that I found was really impactful for me. And then it was almost like a Bible study or a book club. We would have a discussion about it and talk through it together, just to get their head on, right? If there's a motivational video, like the video that you recommend, what's the name of that video again?
The gratitude one?
Yeah, the gratitude one.
A Grateful Day by Brother David.
Grateful Day. So stuff like that, weaving that stuff in, because it's no secret right now that it seems like each and every year, it's like more and more negative forces bombarding us from all directions.
Yes.
And if I don't intentionally weave in positive, uplifting, inspiring, motivating things into my sales meetings, you're going to be fighting a losing battle. And as you know, better than anybody, if your sales reps aren't functioning at the 6 inches between their ears, their sales performance is going to suffer.
It's going to suck. It's going to
suck. Yeah. I'm saying it, and the softer, but they're going to suck ass.
They are. Well, and
so it's important that we're intentional about that stuff.
You talked about, and this is important, with this training, and I hope listeners are hearing this. And if you need help with this, I'm going to give Dominic a chance to share his information, the best way to get a hold of him. But your reps, once they're trained, need additional training. And even if they start with a good attitude, if they hear no, no, yes, no, no, yes, no, no, yes, without any positivity reinforcement from a leader and the rest of the team, they're gonna fill their mind with weeds. You talked about the Brian Tracy analogy of the hole in the bottom. I was listening to Wayne Dyer the other morning, and he talked about your mind is a beautiful garden, and it grows beautiful things, but it also grows weeds. And if you don't do something every day to get the weeds out of it,
the weeds are gonna take over.
And it's so funny because I work with people on mindset, and they do it for 90 days or 6 months, and they say they're good, and they stop doing it, and then 6 months later they're a mess again. It's because the weeds never stop growing. And like you said, the outside world, with everything politically, worldwide, it's like you gotta take training like Dom does, and then take the mindset and put it together and become a sales ninja. So, all right, Dom, thank you.
I just want to share one more thing on sales meetings.
Yes.
It just popped in my head as we were talking about this. One thing that companies need to stop doing is where they have these sales reps within their organization. Let's say they're $2-3 million producers. We leave them alone. They're in a category of their own. They're on an island. We don't mess with them because they're our top performers. They're our top dogs. The only people that attend our meetings are the average salespeople. What type of message is that sending to your sales team? What type of culture are you building where these people are above the law? Nothing applies to them. They don't have to share. They don't have to be a part of the team. That's not how you build a team. That's not how you build a sales culture. And if anyone should be attending those meetings and sharing, ideally, you would think the top performers would want to be there and share. What are they doing right?
Yes.
Even if it's not the most textbook. Again, I understand sometimes top performers, they're afraid to have them speak because they're not to the book, to the system.
Yeah.
And the way I explained it is, okay, we have this 170-page training book provided by Grosso University. That's the box. That's great. The box is there. They all have the box in their possession. What we need to extract now is the outside the box creative things that these top performers are doing to garner consistent results. Get them in the meetings physically, have them share.
Yes.
That's the worst thing you can do is shelter off your top performers from your sales meetings. Get them in there, get them to open up and share what the hell they're doing. So I just wanted to get that off my chest because I see that often in the industry, right? And I'm sure you've seen it as well.
Yes, 100%. No, I love that. It is a team, and you got to get the team together. All right, so real quick, you have an exciting event coming up later this year. Do you want to go ahead and talk about that for a second? Because I'd love for listeners who are interested in hearing more, like to get some of your good information live and in person from you. Where are you going to be later this year?
No, I appreciate the opportunity. So Grosso University, we host 2 events every single year. One is our closers camp, which is usually Q1 of every year. And the other one is our owners camp. We actually call it our Agogi Growth and Profitability Summit. And a lot of people are like, what the hell is the Agogi? So as you see, everything Grosso University is Spartan Warrior, the Spartan helmet, that's our logo. And the Agogi was the educational system the Spartan warriors were actually brought up in to be the most tenacious warriors in the history of humanity, right? So we named it the Agogi Summit to pay tribute to that high level of professionalism, right? Because you remember the movie 300, he said, what is your profession?
Yes.
So they made it their goal to be the best in the world at what it is that they did. And that's what we want our attendees to come into, is have the training, the resources, the networking opportunities to learn truly from the best, the people that are in the business at running successful retail operations, that are willing to share. And I'm sure you experience this a lot with the owners that you consult with, especially in your mastermind. The thing that never ceases to amaze me is how selfless this industry really is. The more successful, I mean, I know people that own $500 million companies and they're mentors to so many others. They just share because it's such a big industry. There's so much opportunity for everyone.
Yes.
And this is what's great about hosting events like this is you're going to learn from me. You're going to learn from all these people running successful retail operations, but then the networking opportunities. And I'm happy to announce here that this is going to be the biggest event we've ever done for an owners camp. We got an 11,000 square foot ballroom. We're going to have probably 300-400 people in that room. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity.
And this one is for all business owners, right? The closer camp is for sales rep. This one we're talking about later this year is for owners only. What's the location?
Yeah, and that's November 14th and 15th. And I live in Wisconsin, so I'm really pumped about this. It's going to be in Amelia Island in Florida at the Omni Resort and Spa. It's right on the ocean front, absolutely gorgeous location, especially to be in November. They got an amazing, like one of the top golf courses in the world. And we're going to be having 2 action-packed days, November 14th and 15th, of high-level executive training. And literally, it's going to be from phone call to install, anywhere in between. We got people that are going to be sharing how to optimize your business, how to leverage technology. So, of course, proven processes, leadership training. If you want to grow and scale a sales army, generate more leads, it's all going to be there. And of course, Sean Foyer. I always love bringing Sean Foyer into my events. If you would do us the honor of speaking, I think you said you would.
I was just going to be funny and ask you, got any mindset speakers? Because I'd love to hear some good mindset stuff. I would love to be there with you guys. That sounds amazing.
No, it's going to be a great event. And mindset is important. And it's something that I believe in wholeheartedly. And I'll never stop wanting to weave that into everything that we do. And as you know, my good friend, Dr. Injun Chong, he's the health and wellness specialist. He's got his Rich Life program. He's going to be there too.
Yes.
So for me, like mindset, health and wellness, all these things are so important because none of us want to be the richest person in the graveyard. And as we know, this industry carries with it high levels of stress. It can be a very toxic industry.
Yes.
See a lot of owners burning the candle at both ends. So what can we do to optimize ourselves physically and mentally so we can be the types of leaders our team needs? So we're going to be bringing all that to the table.
If they want tickets, am I going to have some options? They can reach out to me to get them signed up. Is that
So Sean Foyer, being a keynote speaker, and of course we'll have a booth set up with Sean as well. He'll get some comp tickets, so make sure you reach out to Sean. Those comp tickets do carry a $1,900 face value, so take advantage of that. I mean, your hotel and your flight there, that's pretty much all you have to take care of, but your ticket to get in will be compensated. Within, if you get 1,000 people, Sean, then we're going to have to start charging people.
Yeah, we're going to try and blow that thing up. As far as just getting a hold of you, if they want to find out more about the trainings you guys do and get involved, what's the best way to reach out to Grosso?
Yeah, so we got our website, which is grossouniversity.com, and check out our reviews. Just go on Google, type in Grosso University, read our reviews. We have a perfect 5-star rating. And you look at all the reviews. I actually get pissed when people don't say this because, I'm very passionate about what we do, but everyone's world-class training, best training I've ever experienced in my life. But go on grossouniversity.com. We got all the details on the Agogi Summit and how to sign up there. or you can call the phone number 888-GROSSO-U. That's GROSSOU, the letter U. And that'll connect you with Matthew Burke, my COO, directly. And he can give you all the details on our various programs. And of course, if you're looking to attend the Growth and Profitability Summit, the AGOE Summit, it'll get you all the information. We have group rates and stuff too, if you have larger teams that you want to bring to the event. So
awesome. Well, so good to have you on. And we talk about it. You've got the Warriors shield or helmet. I've got the shield. We put us together in an event, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of value. Well, thanks. Always.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to thank you for the opportunity. And, again, congratulations on the Inner Blueprint. I think it's definitely needed in the industry, and look forward to all the different ways that we can continue working together in the future.
Same, man. Keep going. You're doing an amazing job, having the impact. All right.
And just like that, we've laid another brick in the foundation of your incredible journey. Thanks for tuning into the Inner Blueprint podcast with Sean Foyer, your navigator through the maze of mindset and success. Remember, every tool you need is already in your belt. It's all about how you use them to craft the masterpiece that is your life and business. Now, don't let the momentum stop here. Follow me on social media and subscribe wherever you get your podcast to never miss an episode filled with the blueprints to your best self.